Rani Sri Kumar.
Honorable Speaker, sir, before I start talking about this bill, I would like to remind this House that it was Dr. Annal Ambedkar who laid the foundations of the Reserve Bank of India through his work, The Problems of Rupee. It was based on his recommendations that the Hilton Young Commission proposed the establishment of the Reserve Bank of India. Annal Ambedkar proposed the establishment of the RBI so as to establish a better banking system to ensure better economy and well-being of the citizens of this country. But the BJP-led NDA government has been acting contrarily to the vision of Annal Dr. Ambedkar. This proposed bill aims to amend the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, Reserve Banking Regulation Act 1949, State Bank of India Act 1955, Banking Companies Act 1970, Banking Companies Act 1980. The proposed amendment act aims to increase the number of nominees from 1 to 4 nominees per account. It has increased the tenure of directors of cooperative banks from 8 years to 10 years. It has allowed the directors of central cooperative banks to serve in state cooperative banks also. This bill enables the transfer of unclaimed dividend, shares, interest or redemption of bonds to IEPF when they remain unclaimed for 7 consecutive years. This bill allows individuals to claim, transfer or refunds from IEPF. This bill has redefined the term substantial interest by increasing the threshold share from 5 lakhs to 2 crores. There are certain concerns with this bill, especially the idea of dual membership and extended tenure poses a serious threat of consolidation of power under some individuals. And also allowing the directors of central cooperative banks to serve in the state cooperative board is a clear encroachment of the independent identity of the state cooperative banks. This is one another attempt by the BJP to make the state as a local body or as a municipality. It is against the spirit of cooperative movement. The bill omits any mention of the privatization of public sector banks, a central aspect of the government's reform agenda. Despite Finance Minister's 2021-22 budget announcement to privatize 2 PSBs alongside IDBI Bank, the bill fails to address this issue, leaving the future of PSB ownership uncertain. The bill overlooks critical digital safeguards despite the growing role of digital banking. As financial services move online, cybersecurity, data privacy, fraud prevention become urgent concerns, yet the bill fails to address these adequately. Additionally, the bill does not establish clear regulations on consumer data protection, increasing the risk of breaches and misuse. Without specific measures for digital fraud, which is more sophisticated than traditional forms, the sector remains vulnerable. And the bill proposes to update the substantial interest to 2 crores as per the present realities. But it would be better to attach it to a specific percentage every year instead of fixing a static amount, so that the bill need not be amended regularly for updating the threshold amount. In addition to this, I would like to address certain serious issues in the banking sectors. NPAs. There is always an accusation against the UPA government by the NDA government that the non-performing assets were higher. But in reality, if we look at the data, it shows a very different picture. As per the RBI data in the past 10 years, the gross NPA accumulation under the NDA government in public sector bank was 1.6 times more than that of the UPA government. Write-offs. Another issue that comes regularly along with the NPA is write-offs. As per the replies given by the government in Lok Sabha, it has been found that in the past 10 years, about 16.26 lakh crores of bank loans have been written off, and among them, the loans written off to large corporates stood at rupees 7.4 lakh crores. The yearly write-offs by the public sector banks had increased from 7,187 crore per year in 2013 to about 1.2 lakh crore in 2023. The government justified the write-offs by saying the banks' write-offs are a part of regular exercises by the banks to clean up their balance sheet as to so as to optimize their capital. But in reality, it affects the net profits of the banks, which eventually affects the private sector lending. The NPAs by the non-priority sector was just 50% of the NPAs during 2012 to 13, but it has touched 80% by 2019. It eventually leads to less credit being availability for the private sector. Now coming to the agriculture loan, 6% of total lending of any bank has to be advanced to agriculturists, whereas many of the national banks and especially the private banks are not at all complying the rule of advancing 6% lending to the agriculturist. Is it not a discrimination against the farmers who are feeding the nation? The pity is the banks which are averse to the agriculturists by the way of parking the 6% lending, which is actually due to the farmers into the RIDF, DAF of NABARD, and thereby earning a huge interest of the money belonging to the farmers. Despite repeated requests to waive off the farmers' loans, this government, which does not hesitate to write off the corporate loans for about 7.4 lakh crores, had repeatedly refused to waive off the farmers' loans, which is a pittance amount. This clearly shows that this government is always an anti-farmer government. The UPA government during its tenure had waived off the farmer loans worth 72,000 crores, and during his tenure, Muthamal Aringer, Dr. Kalaignar had waived off the loans worth 7,000 crores in the year of 2006. And also under dynamic leadership of Thalapathy, our Tamil Nadu government has waived off 7,000 crores farm loans in cooperative banks and also provided interest-free loans worth 35.85 lakh crore to the farmers between May 2021 and December 2023, and still continues to provide interest-free loans to the farmers. Education loan. As per the education loans are concerned, it should be treated as a welfare scheme. Therefore, the interest waived on such education loans should be scrapped. I submit that levying of interest on the needy students is unacceptable. 5 years moratorium for the repayment of loan should be scrapped. The repayment should start only after the concerned student is employed. Demanding repayment before getting an employment is deplorable. Therefore, the government should consider this demand. In addition to that, multiple conditions are being imposed to provide education loan to the students, leading to complexities and harassments. The process should be simplified for the benefits of the students. Now coming to the penalty on common citizens. Because of NPA and write-offs, the bank has started their burden to push over the common citizens of the country. We are all know that the government restricted the number of withdrawal of free ATM withdrawal of money from their own account. They have increased the minimum balance amount in the past decade. They are charging for SMS also. As per a reply given by the government in Lok Sabha this year, it has been observed that there has been increase of over 35% in penalties collected by the public sector banks in the past 5 years. And the most serious evaluation from the reply that the public sector banks had collected over 8,500 crores from the common people as penalties for not maintaining the average monthly balance. And if we include the private sector banks also, then as per a reply given by the Finance Ministry in Rajya Sabha, about 21,000 crores has been collected since 2018 by both the public and private banks. The same banks that had waived off about 7.4 lakh crores to corporate loans had collected 21,000 crores from the common people. And in addition to this, the government had collected over 8,000 crores of transaction through ATMs beyond free withdrawals and 6,000 crores as SMS charges. Why the people should pay charges for withdrawing their own money? Hidden charges. Next comes the issue of hidden charges. The banks have been imposed fees on customers that are not disclosed in the key fact statement of the loan, which eventually leads to higher interest rates on these loans. This issue has become so serious that the RBI governor himself raised concern regarding this at the Monetary Policy Committee in June this year. Now coming to the cyber frauds issue. If this is the scenario in the conventional bank arena, the situation of customers utilizing online banking apps is much more worse. As per a recent survey conducted by the community platform called Local Circles, about 6 out of 10 customers have faced issues of hidden charges in online banking platforms. Last year, the RBI Deputy Governor has raised concern about this issue of mis-selling, which is popularly called as dark patterns. With the increase in digitalization, many security issues have been created. In a recent RTA reply, the RBI has stated that the number of cyber fraud cases had increased from 75,800 cases in financial year 2023 to 292,000 cases in financial year 2024, and about rupees 2,056 crores were lost due to cyber frauds in the financial year 2024 alone so far. And as per an estimation made by Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, loss due to cyber frauds could amount 0.7% of the GDP in future. The senior citizens of our country are the most vulnerable group to these online frauds. There has been multiple cases where the scammers have been specially targeting elderly people. The government needs to promote better cyber security measures to protect the elderly from cyber frauds. Gender disparity in banking. There is a continuing gender disparity issue in the banking sector. As per the global Findex database 2021 released by the World Bank, nearly 20% of women lack access to the bank account in India. The gender disparity in accessibility to banking has to be resolved. Lack of accessibility in rural areas. The banking accessibility in rural areas is a cause of grave concern. In many remote rural areas, the ATMs are located inside the banks. So when the bank closes by 6 p.m., the people also lost access to the ATM. This creates serious accessibility issues for the people in the rural areas. Welfare of the banking employees, another major issue that needs a serious attention in the welfare of the bank employees. As per recent reports, about 500 bank employees in India, especially higher officials, committed suicides over the past decade due to work pressure and abuse by the senior official. I conclude that Dr. Ambedkar envisioned a strong banking sector for our country, but the banking sector has been one of the most affected sector under the NDA government. Measures have to be taken to ensure the issues in the banking sector are solved by keeping the concern and welfare of the common people. Thanking you. Tamil Vellum.
Thank you.